This is a video of Douglas Murray on university protests and the recent unfortunate shooting in Washington, D.C. Let's take a listen.
On democracies and death cults, Douglas Murray joins us now. Douglas, I want to repeat what Jonathan Epstein said. He looked into the shooter's eyes. He was there, and he was also at Columbia, and he said, I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of the protesters at Columbia. That's chilling.
It is, but it's completely to be expected. Some of us have been saying since the 7th of October massacre and Hamas's starting of this phase of the war, some of us have said repeatedly, why is it that across university campuses in the US and across so many of our cities, there are so many young people in particular who have decided to side not with the victim, Israel, whose people were massacred on the 7th and so brutally abducted, but have decided to side with the death cult that did that? Why is it that at campus after campus, young people have been chanting things like globalize the intifada? They've pretended, their authorities have pretended, these are sort of technical issues. Intifada could mean anything, like Sieg Heil is just high. No, it isn't. Intifada is a tactic which the Palestinian terrorists use repeatedly in recent decades, where they target Jews for annihilation through repeat terrorist attacks. And when these students have said, globalize the intifada, well done, guys. On Wednesday night in Washington, D.C., we got a glimpse of what that means. It means bringing terror to the streets of America.
Yeah, words have meaning. You talk about siding against the victim. I think about Yaron, that young man. He had bought a ring. He was about to propose to Sarah. Yaron's friend described him this way. He's a devout Christian, the finest friend I've ever had. Gifted language. This guy was brilliant. He spoke German, Hebrew, Japanese, brimming with ideas. He loved America. He was excited about visiting Texas for the first time. And I look at this, and then I look at that group that says they did this as an expression of anti-Zionism. We need more of these murders. Who raised these people? College ideology aside, who raised these people to think it's okay to kill the innocent?
You know, the problem is we have an indoctrination problem and a radicalization problem here in the US. We've heard a lot, not enough, but a lot about Islamic radicalization. We've heard a lot about far-right radicalization for many years. Well, this is a form of radical left radicalization. These people have been taught to chant murderous chants and to adopt a murderous cause. And it leads to this despicable young man gunning down two people leaving a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C. in the hope that he was killing Jews.
Yeah, what a sad week it was indeed. Douglas Murray, thank you.
Click here.
It's really, is it a surprise that we're here? You can go back to my videos from 2024 where you see me talking about this rhetoric of globalize the intifada, intifada revolution, from the river to the sea. This is it. Where do you see these attacks on the opposition? Where do you see these attacks in person? Where are you seeing people gunning them down outside of a mosque? Where are you seeing them gunning them down when they're breaking the fast for Ramadan? Where do you see this? You don't see me chanting that. You don't see pro-Israelis chanting that. You see radicals do it, and they represent a very small population, which I will say again and again, I condemn. You have these acts, which are masked as anti-Zionist acts, that are just justified to be able to hate Jews. They hijack the establishment of the state of Israel. They hijack this movement called Zionism to be able to then mask the fact that they don't want Jews. They have an issue with Jews. Free Palestine is not about anti-Zionism. It's about Jews. It's about a takeover. It's about a liberation movement that is built on top of hatred. That is the root, that is the soil inside of the roots that has allowed that tree to grow. This is a branch stemming off of that tree. And we're going to see, just like Douglas said, I think we're going to see over the next year or so, just unfortunately the intifada just coming to life in real life, continuously just playing itself out in the streets of the United States. God forbid it happens to somebody who's in the Free Palestine movement. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to say it right now. Can't imagine what the reaction is going to be in that. The gunman, the shooter mistakes that person for someone else, and it turns out to be somebody that was wishing for that to happen, and it happens to them. Whew. Because things go wrong. The truth always wins. The truth exposes hypocrisy. I mean, this is a perfect example of it. Not only does it expose the hypocrisy, it exposes the people that really don't understand morality. It's fascinating to me, man, to see this unfold in my lifetime. As a 30-year-old from the United States, now living in Israel, now traveling, it's unbelievable to watch this stuff really unfold, because you read about these stories through history of how Jews have been persecuted against just because they're Jews. It's like a modern version in a different capacity of the Holocaust playing itself out. And we identify with a lot of the things that are happening, not because they've happened to us personally in our own lives, they've happened to our ancestors. And so you relate close to these things happening in the streets, because then you think it could be you next. And why could it be you next? Because you are too a Jew. It's bananas. It's actually crazy. And there's really no words for it, man. There's no words. Like, that we have news segments now that are interviewing people, and some on the far left, and you have these university, forget the name of this kid. When I see him, my blood boils. He's just like this curly-headed guy, college student, who has become a massive voice for the Free Palestine movement, who has recently justified what happened in DC. And this kid, you know, has an opportunity to think rationally, and probably did at one point, until the incentives have reached his desk in his college dorm room from a bank wiring transfer standpoint, for being able to say the things that he's saying. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait for that to be uncovered, for people to understand how much money is behind the words being shared, for the movement to grow. And if that doesn't explain to you enough about this conversation, I really don't know what else does. Because if you need a movement that has a budget allocated just to be able to pay people off of an incentive to say something that they don't necessarily believe in, that should explain to you the moral clarity of the Middle Eastern conflict. Am I saying that the Mossad in Israel doesn't have money allocated for people to speak? Of course they do, because they want more people to talk about the truth. They don't want more people to spread lies. They pay Mossad Hassan Youssef because he himself left the West Bank. He himself left the establishment of Hamas and the Palestinian liberation movement that they claim is a freedom movement. He left that to be able to take intel and information that he has for the good guys. So of course they pay him. He saved many lives. He saved Israeli lives. He only feels safe in Israel. Sorry about that. Somebody had to come check on something in the bathroom here. Anyways, I think you guys get the point. Rest in peace to these individuals. And people need to be aware. People need to wake up. Alan Dershowitz recently had a video talking about how he now needs security because he's been told by law enforcement that he's no longer safe simply because he's a Jew. Oh, man. Where are the Muslim radicals being told by law enforcement that they are unsafe and that they need security too? That one's really interesting. Thanks so much for all your support. See you next time. If you want to continue the conversation, you can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.